are now entering the take-up, placed together when the film is over. I'm your host, Joshua Ray, and I'm back here with my co-host and the managing editor of the Take-Up.com, Andrew Wyatt. A little rusty. Hi.
It's okay. I think I am too.
Every episode, we decide if one film gets to enter the Take-Up's permanent cinema. And today, I'm throwing Todd Haynes' 2002 Douglas Sirk homage, Far From Heaven, in the bunker, and probably disclose far too much about my own cinephilic opinion. Hi, Andrew. It's been...
Long time no pod.
Yeah, long time no pod, but we did a best of episode, I feel like, in the middle, because, you know, I'm not gonna not talk to you for 2.5 hours. But we're changing it up. We're gonna do some different things. You know, some of these episodes, they would stretch. There wasn't not a good 3 hours about Kelly Reichardt's Certain Women. I mean, a film that deserves 3 hours.
She deserves it. She deserves it. But
yeah.
it might be time for a format reshuffle here at the Take Up, I think.
So here's the deal. All right. Here's what we've proposed. And y'all can tell us if you hate it, but we've planned a lot out in advance. So we'll take your feedback into consideration for 2026 likely. But we're going to cover one film an episode. Andrew and I are going to have guests who are going to come on and tell us what films made them cinephiles. I am doing a bit of a cheat today. I felt like I was already a cinephile before 2002 and Far From Heaven, but I have a lot to discuss. I'm using this as a bit of therapy, so...
No, I feel like that's very fitting. If we're doing this as, you know, cinephilia as pseudo memoir, pseudo confessional,
personal history.
Yeah, then absolutely.
And then every other episode we'll do a new release. So I think the very first one these first couple episodes we're going to feel out the format and see how we like it, and we do have a fun little mechanism where we're actually going to get a limited number of votes, both Andrew and I, to build a permanent cinema for the Take-Up. So, at the end of every episode, we are going to vote whether or not we personally say this is representative of what we like here at the Take-Up. So, our guests really kind of have to come in and convince us one way or another. Now, I'm going to say, you know, if someone comes in here and is like, Robert Altman's Nashville should be considered a great film, I've already voted yes. I voted yes when I was 18 and saw it on VHS, okay?
So what you're saying is there may be some playing to the judges depending on the guest.
Look, all you have to do is look at our letterboxes. I don't know. Or go to the take-up.com. It's, you know, some of these things that were kind of muscle memory are going to take me a while to get back into them. So, but we will do new releases too. And hey, if a new release really strikes our fancy, let's throw it into the fucking bunker, all right, to save it. Do you have, this is off the cuff, do you have, I'm going to give you a freebie, a new release from this year that you would already throw in there?
Ooh, that's a tough one. I haven't seen a lot of films this year. This has been a very movie light year for me for reasons I don't want to even get into. But I'm like, normally at this point in the year, I'd be at like 150 movies, and I'm at like 15.
Right.
So I don't even feel like I have a sample size.
Can I be honest?
Yeah.
I wouldn't immediately throw anything from this year into the bunker. I don't have a one movie yet. There are films that I really love, like Misericordia, the Along Dior.
Yeah, you've talked about that. Yeah,
I love that movie. It's probably my favorite of the year so far. Wes Anderson's Phoenician Scheme, but we're not.
Yes.
We're not. Yeah, we saw that together, right? I'm not. Nothing. There are a lot of films that I saw that are not new releases from this year that I would say, please save it. I've been looking at, well, we are still going to do one more thing here at the end, so maybe I'll I'll talk about Zsa Zsa Gabor a little later. But today, I have voted to talk about Todd Haynes' 2002 film Far From Heaven. Andrew, had you seen it before?
No, I hadn't actually. This is one of my Haynes like blind spots. So
I'm
I went
so nervous.
no, okay. So I went back and looked at his filmography to sort of remind myself, what is Tom Haynes's like career as a whole? Like, what did it look like at this point? Realize he's one of these directors. I don't necessarily like. I don't think I made a decision to see every movie he's made. I've seen every movie he's made except his first, except Poison. Um,
Incredible.
so as of now,
Yeah.
so like Far From Heaven and Poison were like my last blind spots in his filmography. So I guess he's a filmmaker I love because apparently I've seen everything he's made almost.
Hey, do you remember watching May December together for the first time?
This would have been
Two
late
two
last
years
year,
ago?
two
Yeah,
years
two
ago. Oh,
years ago.
Jesus, yeah.
What a oh my
I
God.
just remember you turning to me and making this face like this might be the greatest thing I have ever seen in my entire life.
You're
And I
not
think it
wrong.
happened early. I think it happened the minute Julianne Moore said the phrase, I think we're almost out of hot dogs.
I was the second the music stings and we're like close up on the butterflies
Hmm.
and it says May December, I was like, number one with a bullet. Yeah.
All right,
Um,
well, can,
so
can I
yes,
do like the little bit of the interviewer thing here with you
yes,
about this
break
film
it
and
like break
and
me
your
down.
connection to it?
Yeah.
Okay. So did you see this film on release or was it later? Was it a later discovery? Like, did you see it in 2002?
I was fully aware of its release, but I lived in West Plains, Missouri, a very small town, and I was 16 in 2002.
Mm-hmm.
If I was born in 1986, I would have been 60. Yes, 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 yes. And did not have access to films like this. I always had to wait for DVD release, but I remember the chatter around this film being very loud and speaking directly to me because
Mm-hmm.
a lot of the press was about Douglas Sirk's films. And I don't really, I was trying to think about this. I'm not sure that I have seen Imitation of Life because my mom loved that movie. And oh, what a mom movie.
The mom movie. I just revisited it yesterday for this
You watched
pod.
Imitation of Life yesterday?
Yeah,
Are you okay?
I'm fine, but I love your assessment that it's a mom movie because then it's 100% a mom movie.
It is about mom.
I don't think I'd ever seen the Cirque version. I had seen the earlier version.
Hmm.
Uh, so
Well, it's an
but
interesting,
it had that weird thing where like, have I seen this before? I
yeah,
don't think so. Oh no, it's because I've seen this plot before.
right. That is one of the movies that did you cry? You can be
No,
honest.
no, I didn't cry. I didn't
D Okay, well, I think you're a cruel and awful person.
cry. I cried a little bit in All the Heaven Allows. So I don't know if that
All that
helps
heaven
a little.
allows are far from heaven.
All That Heaven Allows.
You watched that? Okay. Okay, we'll get to it. We'll get
Those
to
are the
it.
only Cirques I've seen. So
Oh,
I'm a little bit removed from. So let's talk about that. So had you seen any
that's what
Cirques before you saw Far From Heaven?
I'm not sure. I know I'd seen Imitation of Life, but as the perception of the public might have it. So I watched this tearjerker that my mom liked. I watched
Mm-hmm.
A Woman's Weepy. I did
Mm-hmm.
not watch the kind of acerbic, acidic, satirical, like uh, diatribe on culture that it is. I didn't
Mm-hmm.
see it for what it was. Who introduced me to reading a film that way is Todd Haynes in this film.
Okay.
Because he, so Far From Heaven is was released in 2002. It is his follow-up from Velvet Goldmine, which was not a success. Does now have a cult following, and
Yeah, that's crazy. That's
yeah,
crazy to me. I think of Velvet Goldman as a like big indie film, but apparently not.
yeah. I mean, more critically than anything.
Hmm.
And even some critics at the time were not very. I mean, I think it's an absolute fucking banger. But this one was like award nominated, was nominated for 2 Oscars, and was a part of the conversation as a film about filmmaking. And I think there are a lot of people who appreciated it on the kind of technical level too, that he was able to achieve this film that is directly in the style of a universal, I'm putting air quotes around Technicolor film from the 50s, and how he was able to approximate the style of Douglas Sirk and films of this ilk. But I didn't see it until it was on DVD, but I got it the day it was on DVD. I went and rented it because I was like, finally, I get to see this thing that has just like sort of it really attracted me to it.
Well, let me back up though. The fact that you were a 16-year-old when this came out and you already were aware of the chatter around it as a cinematic object, to me says that you're already at 16-year-old plugged in a way that a lot of 16-year-olds aren't. So I certainly wasn't when I was 16 years old, plugged into what was going on in indie cinema.
Yeah. Well, here's the cheat of it all. This film did not actually make me a cinephile. I was already a cinephile. However, this film shaped the way I looked at films. It is kind of a stake in the ground. There are a few that when I was a teenager, of course, that were a stake in the ground for me. It was like, changed the way that I look at film and what I look for in filmmaking.
There was before Far From Heaven and there was after Far From Heaven.
Absolutely.
Would that be a fair way to
Yeah. Say? And there are films like, okay, so Far From Heaven being a Douglas Sirk homage is directly linked to All That Heaven Allows, the 1954, 5? Oh my God, my memory. 1955, Jane Wyman, Rock Hudson. It is a film that now I love much more than Far From Heaven, a film that I love so much, and is kind of part of a trifecta with Rainer Werner Fassbinder's Ali Fear's Soul, a film that I also revere deeply. And these three films together represent the sort of like apex or splintering out of my understanding of what film can be. Now, the thing that really fucked me up was Mulholland Drive. We won't get into that. The thing that really, really fucked me up when I was young was The Birds, when I saw that at 8. And was like, I understand what a shot is. Like, I understand what cuts do. I understand the poetry of a filmmaker.
I mean, I feel like David Lynch and Alfred Hitchcock, by definition, are going to come up on this podcast at some point. So, I think they're okay. I think they'll be fine without you using them as your slot today. So,
well, I want to be honest to myself in this therapy session. But yeah, so the other track is that I came out of the closet shortly after I saw this film.
Oh wow! I don't think I knew that. I don't think I knew that.
Yeah, so I was a little gay kid, and these films are inherently queer because they're about surfaces and what's roiling underneath the surface, right? And what happens when the veneer starts to crack. So
and they're melodrama too, and that's the other key. It is heightened and bold in a way that,
queer culture
we think of it. What we think of as prestige drama wouldn't necessarily. I like your description. They're women's weepies is how they were certainly how they were viewed at the time, right?
And how they were sold. Like this really gets to the all-encompassing way this film defines or helps define what I'm looking for and what I'm interested in film and genre filmmaking. Because this is absolutely a genre to itself. And as you would define it, as it has, both stylistic and narrative hallmarks that group the films together for a sort of dictative response, right? And this would fall into Linda Williams' body genre as a tearjerker. But what
I think the genre label is interesting too, because of how many when we say genre, how many other things that aren't melodrama that we think of typically in that basket: horror, science fiction, Western, etc.
Well, that's what I'm getting at too.
Some critic as I was reading up for this, some critic described All That Heaven Allows and Invasion of the Body Snatchers as the two most important genre films of the 1950s, which I think is
Man,
a fascinating pairing.
that because so this is exactly what I'm getting at is that this film not only kind of exposed me to this what would be like queer cinema, but a queering of cinema as a whole, as people who deconstruct genre or people who are using genre to their own ends. Not only am I talking about Douglas Sirk, I'm talking about Russ Meyer and pornography. I'm
John
talking about
Waters.
absolutely John Waters, the way that he perverts these forms and like fairy tale and
Mm-hmm.
Hollywood filmmaking, but also John Carpenter and the way he uses the horror genre. To me, these are filmmakers who are playing the genre in a way to make mainstream films, films that serve their purposes, but are also delivering something else. And Far From Heaven is interesting because, Douglas Sirk goes back to Brecht and theater of distancing, a polemical political theater that would be, exclamation points and quotations theater.
Mm-hmm.
So you're calling out and making people aware of what the process is. But Douglas Sirk at the time, although the French would pretty contemporaneously understand what his intentions were, and sort of recognize that his intentions were close to what the result was, is that he was making political films. He was making commentary on American society, but also on the way people operate when they operate with each other, and but they also work. Like they also make you cry. They also make you yearn. They also make you feel romantic feelings. Like they absolutely do the thing. But what Todd Haynes was doing is saying, I want to know how it works. I want to work through it myself. And the distance here is so much more alienating because it's out of time and it's out of style. And he's you're looking at me like,
No, so this goes to maybe like my biggest devil's advocate question, and
I know
this
exactly
isn't
what it is.
it isn't
I came prepared.
this is a critic. So reading through the contemporary criticism in 2002 about this film, you mentioned how good it looks. It does look good, and everybody sort of says like in a backhanded way, it does look good, but and Julianne
Right.
Moore is great, but
What's the point?
the pastiche criticism and the way you're talking about it in terms of genre and so forth has me thinking about your affinity for Gus Van Sant's remake of Psycho as well.
I was excited to talk about
It's
that too.
it feels like it's coming from that same
It's the
impulse. So
same thing.
so to me, the hypothetical person who says, "Well, isn't this just like this is a hollow pastiche of Cirque? It's not doesn't have Cirque soul or whatever." How do you, as somebody who loves this film, respond to that?
Then you don't understand what Douglas Sirk was doing. If you don't understand that the distance is a part of the actual theme,
Mm-hmm.
that it's part of the effect of the filmmaking, then I don't think you really understand what the process is. I don't really think you understand what the actual material is. And what Todd Haynes is doing is not only working through it like how we talked about Gus Van Sant and Psycho. I think he's actually at a point where he is looking at. I lost my train of thought really fast. It derailed. You're gonna cut this out, Ethan. Love you. You don't have to, but I'd like it if you did. Um,
Rewind.
no, you don't have to rewind. It's fine. You can keep it in. I don't really care. Whatever's less work for you. I just, it is the thing though, and it calls attention to itself. So, what's the point of calling attention to itself? I mean, this is a film that starts with those title cards that are in that like Tiffany blue cursive,
Mm-hmm.
and over this idyllic Connecticut suburb, and it is literally perfect in every corner, right?
I would say it's like the most beautiful autumnal New England suburb ever, except we already have
All
all
that
the
have the
heaven
elves,
allows
right? Yeah,
and the reds
which
of that movie.
yeah, that movie to me achieves a kind of religious iconography. Like it is so exacting and like filled with like a kind of innate spirituality in it that I just every frame to me, every frame a painting. But and then it
Elaborate.
has
Let's.
Julianne Moore hopping out of her car and telling her son to wash his teeth. And you immediately are taken aback and taken out of it because this is 2002. It's not 1958, in which the film is set. So what is the point of that? Why are you doing this, Todd Haynes? And it feels very much to me that, and things that he's said is, I want to discuss themes in a way and ideas in a way that Douglas Sirk would have as a means of figuring out Sirk's cinema and cinema as a whole. The
Mhm.
He cranes down on that car as it's pulling out, and Elmer Bernstein's score, put a pin in it. We'll have to talk about that. And then when Patty Clarkson pulls up, does this violent whip pan to her car and pulls in on it. In that single movement, he's saying, "I want to know, why does this work? How does this movement actually elicit this kind of emotion or not?" And to me, that's what's so interesting about watching this film is that on one level, the narrative itself is so compelling about how people trap themselves and the kind of, gilded cages that they put themselves in, and when they attempt to break out of them, the kind of violence inherent in that,
Mhm.
and how frame the theatrical frame does the same thing, but at the same time can tell their story.
So elaborate a little bit on your point about you said that people who view this as a pastiche just don't understand Cirque. Can you elaborate on that point a little?
Yeah, because if you think it's pastiche,
Mm-hmm.
then you're looking at style for style's sake.
Mm-hmm.
And you can look at Cirque
Not that
as
there's anything wrong with style for style's sake. Style for style's sake can be great, but
can be great, but there's the style in this is absolutely the form. It
mm-hmm.
is the violence inherent in between groups of people. It is about the way people entrap themselves literally in the architecture. So what I'm saying when I say that people don't understand circuit, they think this is a pastiche, is that they don't understand that this is not an homage to Douglas Sirk. It is not simply stealing Cirque cinema in the same way Brian De Palma uses Alfred Hitchcock's cinematic techniques to make his points. Todd Haynes is doing the exact same. And is it an empty exercise? I think I can get more closer to that argument, but I still think it falls apart because Douglas Sirk was using his style to tell a story. Absolutely. And so if you call it a pastiche, then you're ignoring the fact that the style is kind of the thing.
Do you think for me as a first time viewer, one of the things I'm struck by is how the meticulous production design itself becomes a part of the style.
Mm-hmm.
Not just recreating the look of a film from 1959 or 1958 or whatever, but specifically the attention to detail in the production design, the attempt to recreate this time and place itself becomes a part of the film's style.
Absolutely.
And the color, the like very blatant color theory in virtually every shot of
My
of the
God.
film.
I mean,
Um,
you remember that moment in Carol where Therese goes up and to a projection booth where her friend is projecting Sunset Boulevard, and he says, "This is the 30th time I've seen it," and he's taking notes, and he says, I'm tracing the characters in relation to the frame or something," and it's like, Todd, you did that a few years ago. So no, absolutely, it's a part of the thematization of the film and the themes about queerness and domesticity and race and these really three people who entrap themselves by playing into the rules and gilding their own cages.
So what do you think about, in some ways, the like you said, that the whole film is a queer film, but the literal queer plot is almost the B plot. It kind of starts out as the A plot and it becomes the B plot, if that makes sense.
So another part of cinema is irony. And there are several moments where Kathy, who's played by Julianne Moore, and her husband, I'm going off of memory. What's his name?
Frank.
Frank, right. Played by
Dennis Quaid.
Dennis Quaid, because there's Dennis
Haysbert in this as well, yeah. Am I gonna have to just open IMDb and like walk you through this?
Maybe I should. Maybe I should. I have seen this movie a lot, and I know who these people are. It's funny, but so Frank is in the midst of portfolio season. Like, I love that. What do you think portfolio season is? But then they're going to move into production season.
Yeah.
But they're kind of the literal poster children, the idyllic family for the company Frank works at. And
a television company.
Yeah,
selling the imagery of this 1950s milieu.
So not only do they have to maintain the kind of facade and everything sort of perfected into the corners of rooms, they have set themselves up as the example. And that is, a part of their day to day. As she opens her front door and a flash bulb pops and the camera quicks white, and then we see a reporter and a photographer coming into the home that is already ready-made for the cover of Home and Garden.
Yeah, they don't need to clean, and because Viola Davis has already made it perfect.
And that's another thing that we'll have to talk about is Viola Davis plays her maid and is marginalized in the film except for a few key moments. And
some great wordless acting from her.
Oh, incredible. Like that. I mean, Viola Davis was already a thing. She was in Solaris in 2002, but
that's right. Yeah.
I can't believe that. Well, I guess I can't believe because she's, a black woman. And, part of that is part of the text here too, is that at every turn, there's a sense of irony that people are chastised for attempting to follow their own feelings, whether it's Frank's queerness when he is caught in the act in his office, and then Kathy's burgeoning, kind of crush into love with her gardener's son, who becomes her gardener, played by Dennis Haysbert. What's his name? What's that character's name?
Raymond. Sorry, Jesus Christ.
Raymond. Duh. Okay, so kind of romance with Raymond, and yet she is unable to see the clear parallel. So and what's interesting is that we're meant to be
and so is Frank. And so is Frank. Like,
and
that's
Frank
part
does
of
the same thing. Is that
that's part of the tragedy. It's like the hypocrisy of his like outbursts about how much she's shaming the family. It never even registers to him.
By being seen, being kind to, as another character says, to black people. I'm not going to use the term they use, but it is just completely
irony.
unjust.
You talked about irony,
Yeah.
That Haynes uses it like a scalpel here.
He really does, and that each of these three people I remember one criticism. I don't remember. It might have been Ebert and Roper, and it might have been Roper. Roger Ebert loved this film, and I don't,
Yeah, I
and
remember him being a big champion of it.
I think that's why it came to my attention. And around the same time, Criterion Collection released "Written on the Wind" and "All That Heaven Allows," a couple of Douglas Sirk films, and probably "All He Fears the Soul" around the same time too. So I remember him saying, maybe it was him. I don't know. I'm not going to attribute it to him, but you can, I don't know. Ethan, you want to link this in the show notes if you can find it. Um, Saying that, well, this black man is like the ideal, like he doesn't have his own agency. He's just sort of completely perfect. And I'm like, did you watch the same movie that I did? Because in the end, it's clear to me that there is a mutual attraction and feeling between the two of these people, but he absolutely refuses to go against the societal norms and even attempt happiness with Kathy.
Yeah, and I think it's up for debate exactly why that is. I love the ambiguity of his line in the one of the final scenes where she asks, "Maybe I could come and visit you and Sarah at some point in Baltimore. No one would know us." And he just sort of says in a very non-committal way, "I'm not sure that would be wise."
Right.
Like it's such a great, like it's so loaded and ambiguous. I love it, and I love the way that Haysbert delivers it. But there's other things too, right? Like we sense he is a very decent and gentle and like kind-hearted person. We get that from him, and part of it is just Haysbert's natural sort of charisma that he
Yeah.
radiates. But you also get little things around the margins too. He knows about modern art. He knows how to pronounce Miro, and Kathy doesn't.
Yeah.
He knows there's something shit disturbing about the way he takes her to the juke joint or the little bar there.
It really
Like
is. That's such a good scene.
he is absolutely provoking, and the way he's calling attention to himself and making sure he shouts out everybody he knows. And he's smiling a little bit about how much he's kind of like poking a finger in their eye to bring this white woman into his place.
Well, and think about the thing that starts that is that she says, I want to know what it's like to be the only one in the room, which is such an acknowledgement of empathy on her part, but the kind of ignorance to be able to follow through on that thought and the way that she's feels absolutely cornered when she's in there. But how romantic is it that that shot that the camera's tracking back under and they're dancing under the disco ball? That is not something that sticks in my memory, but when I rewatched this last night, I it got a little dusty in the room.
I mean, it's okay. So maybe I'm showing myself a little bit here, but one of the things I really appreciate about this film is how it feels. Yes, it feels like an homage, but it also feels like this. One of the things I really love is the script. So many people talk about how great it looks and how good the performances are, but I really appreciated the parsimony and the on the nose perfection of the script, the way that everybody sort of talks around things, but maybe like with 5 to 10% more directness than it would have in an actual Sirk picture. So we get one F-bomb from Dennis Quaid. We get people saying lines that feel ever so slightly anachronistic in the sense that you can't imagine them in a Sirk. For the most part, the movie is like 90% there, but there are these places and they feel so deliberate. Something about the way that Kathy says to Raymond on the street, "You're so beautiful." That does not feel like a line that would happen. It's so heartbreaking, and it doesn't feel like a line that you would hear in 1955.
I'm so mad my husband walked in the room when that happened. And I'm just sitting there like, that is the line that I always remember is, "You're so beautiful."
But she says it to him on the street too, not in private in the house when they're alone. She says it to him right as he's getting screamed at by the Connecticut racists.
And yeah, their relationship lives on the street. There are very few times where they're actually in a home, because these homes are like sacred places, right? And there's an interesting interesting streak about the public versus private in this,
Hmm.
and the kind of performances that you put on, and the film itself performing something. There are just a lot of kind of it's I I wrote in order to get into the 2017 student symposium
Hmm.
about for the Telluride Film Festival, which is happening while we are recording. Um, I wrote about Todd Haynes' Carol,
Hmm.
and it was,
Take up, already certified. Take up.
yeah, like
Yeah.
goes without saying.
Yeah.
Um, Caleb made the Carol matchbooks. Anyway, yeah, visual medium here, and everyone knows exactly what I'm talking about. Love you, Kayla. Um, what was this? I wrote about Carol and called it. The title was "The Head and the Heart," and it's so interesting how Todd Haynes has become, or his mission really, is about breaking down the signs and symbols of our society and
Hmm.
culture, and how we build those and build them against our own will, and yet the kind of ache and yearn of the person who's trapped in that, and how he is able to find the semiotics of those feelings. And to me, and this is a criticism he gets a lot, not feeling academic about it, but feeling about it.
Hmm.
And this is, I mean, I finally have IMDb pulled up. Do you know what the tagline of this movie is?
Hmm.
What imprisons desires of the heart? That is a terrible tagline. Like, what is that going to sell? It's selling me, certainly, but that
Well, the title is great too. I mean,
the
that
let's talk
in that
about it.
it evokes Cirque, right?
Yes.
But that sense of fallenness, that sense
Mhm.
of the imperfectness of the world that we're born into and that we have no control over. We don't have control over when we're born and where we're born and who we are. Um, but there's that sense of what you're talking about, that ache and that yearn. I don't think it's necessarily, I don't see it as strongly in all his films, but definitely in this, definitely in Carol.
Well, he's
Um,
got really two modes, right? He's got like, the queer stories, and then the queer rock and roll stories. But he's very interested even in those, in sort of breaking apart what things mean.
mhm,
And I think that, get back to your pastiche question, the process by which you make this film and you make these decisions about everything that goes into filmmaking. Rosenbaum wrote a great essay about this, and
mhm.
how it represents what filmmaking is, and how it's just a series of decisions. And, that in itself is about a series of decisions.
I mean,
Um,
that's any art object though,
it's
right?
any art. It's the decisions that I make define my worldview, or
Mhm.
help define my worldview for you. Um, I don't
Yeah,
know.
I
I
think,
think it is just, even though it's sort of like a cloistered, or even at times suffocating world, it's still such a beautiful world, and you can find the beauty in it.
but that's part of what the film is doing, right?
Yeah.
Is presenting. I mean, nobody by 2002, nobody. I mean, David Yates knew it in Revolutionary Road in the early 1960s. He already knew. He already had the 50s nailed. So it's not like this is an original sentiment. But part of what this film does so effectively is show it in practice in a way that um, is really startling. The way that the kids aren't even allowed to say shucks or geez.
Yeah.
The way
The way
that
they have to wash their teeth.
yeah, the way that Kathy dresses is, and so let me ask you about the about Frank's plot a little bit.
Yeah.
So watching it, having seen Carol first, one of the things that strikes me is that Frank, in some ways, gets the happy ending.
Isn't it wild?
Which
Like,
is sort of a startling thing in 2002, I guess.
oh yeah, that his story isn't really the tragedy. Like
I
his
mean, he loses his life. Presumably, his life has been upended to a degree. We don't know what's going on with his career, but he gets what he wants, what he
right.
really and what he needs. And
And yet
Kathy's the one sort of left holding the bag and putting the pieces back together.
left with this house. I love the shot from outside the windows as
Mm.
she walks through the house in the dark. And here I am in my prison, and now I'm alone in my prison. And I, the opportunity I see to break out of it, and that's another kind of ironic thing. Is like, how how much does she really feel for Raymond versus how much does she see Raymond as someone?
I think she feels something because okay, here's my clue. Here's my clue. It's that final scene with Eleanor where she goes to her friend's house and she's basically confessing Frank's sins to her
Uh-huh.
and saying, here's what's been going on. And Eleanor is very sympathetic and she's shocked. Frank, of all people, the straightest of straight dudes.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
He's such a man.
And she feels so sorry for Kathy and those poor children. But the minute that Kathy starts talking about Raymond and revealing, and what's funny is that how in denial Kathy is about it to me. To me, one of the things I pick up on is how in denial she is about it. She's looking out the window and she's talking about Raymond and she's smiling. She's not even looking at Eleanor. She's smiling to herself and saying, I'm thinking about what he's doing. Where is he? What's he thinking about? What's he doing right now? And the look out, and then she turns and Eleanor has this look of horror, like, you
Absolute
are
horror.
fucking in love with this man.
Right.
You are in love with a black man. Oh my God. And I've been covering for you in our society pages. Like to me, that's the tell. That's the tell that it may not be deep, but it is intense. And I do think it is real. It's not just that Raymond's a symbol. She feels something for this dude. You don't talk about a guy like that. That you're thinking about what you confess to your girlfriend that you're thinking about what he's doing and what he's saying and
I
feeling
don't know,
right
man.
now.
He's kind of hot. He's
Well,
kind of
and
hot.
there's that great, and again, I talk about how great the script is, and again, it's pointed and on the nose, but it's like every word means something. The way that early in the film, Kathy's being interviewed, and her first sight of Raymond is sort of glimpsed through the windows and the hedges outside. All she sees is a black man walking around on her property.
Mhm. Yeah.
But the but
Black man.
but the moment when it happens is key. She's saying to the interviewer, I don't think I've ever wanted that. Who is that?
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
that's
Well,
like a great mythology. Like the minute you say the words out loud, I have never wanted for anything. The gods drop something for you to desire into your
yeah.
view into your light cone, right?
And I mean, there are a lot of moments that you could say are kind of heavy-handed in that, but
But they have to
I
be
don't.
for
They
this
have
for
to
this
be. It
film.
is
Yeah.
the style, but there's also layers of contradiction within them too that I think make them more interesting than, some kind of act of God or whatever. The moment where we should talk about Viola Davis in this
Mm-hmm.
movie, the moment where Kathy is suddenly kind of interested in her as a person and says, I didn't know you were involved in two churches or two organizations or whatever. She said, yeah, I seem to get involved in many things. And Kathy's like, well, I'm thinking about clearing out. And Viola Davis, in a moment, they're having a kind of person to person moment where it's not like you're my employer and I'm this. I don't even want to get into like how fucking weird like having a maid is and like anyway where they're like, oh, you're a person and I want to get involved because she's kind of seen the other side and understands
Mm-hmm.
is starting to understand there's a struggle. However, who rings the doorbell but the local chapter of the NAACP, and she does not have the fucking time to talk to them.
Can you handle this? Can you sign this for me?
Can you do this for me?
Well, having just watched Imitation Life, I feel like he has to be
Oh
drawing a
man.
line to. There's that scene late in Imitation of Life where um Turner has no idea. She's talking to Annie, the woman who has followed her through like 10
Her
years of her life,
ostensible best
a
friend,
sensible
her
friend. She's
kind of
like, I didn't know you were
soulmate,
involved in the churches and the lodges. And it's like,
is the most tragic thing in that film is that you're not really allowed into Annie's perspective at all
until
a-
she's dead, until that final
until
scene, and you realize
uh,
the scale of her funeral is speaking sort of beyond the grave for her. Like, oh my God, she was somebody important in her community, and we, the viewer, and the white characters had absolutely no idea about it.
but then just like Juanita Moore and Lana Turner in there, it is this kind of codependent relationship where some of the onus is on Viola Davis's character. And man, I had it on
Sybil.
tip. Sybil is also sort of complicit in the world and is complicit in this society. The way she looks at Raymond,
Yeah, that
when
first
they're
meeting,
initially,
that
if you hear
those
my cat,
wordless.
I got a new cat, Andrew.
Oh,
Her name is Norma fucking Rockwell. Ow! That's her butthole. Anyway, you can go away. That was fun. Keep that in. But
well, the glance. I love
the glare.
the glance that passes between Sybil and Raymond when they first meet, and he gives her that real pleasant "Howdy, ma'am" nod,
Howdy,
and she's
ma'am.
just
And
like
she
she's
just
just
like
staring
cocks her head
daggers.
like, are you fucking, what do you think you're doing? But she's the one who's getting what she needs from the relationship, right?
Mhm.
And it's like, do not penetrate this, What do you think you're doing? I'm sorry, now she's right behind me and it was really cute. But yeah, the level to which she perpetuates the kind of cage and appreciates the cage, and you kind of understand why she would and have this kind of comfortable life. And at one point, she just acts kind of surprised when when Kathy learns that Sarah, Raymond's daughter,
Mm.
is a part of this hate crime
Mhm.
and this racially motivated hate crime by these kids who throw a rock at her head. And Kathy finally finds out that it's Raymond's daughter. She wants to rush to Raymond's house, and
Mm.
there's an implication that what was her name again? Viola Davis?
Sybil.
Sybil, you're right. Sybil says, "Do you want me to take you there?" And the implication being, this is a black neighborhood,
Hmm.
and the kind of understanding that she finally has in seeing that after, she's Kathy's telling her, you don't need to polish the tables anymore. Like, things are falling apart, man. Like, why are we doing this? Kathy's at that point, and Sybil is the one who's like, no, I think we should keep in this cycle.
Hmm.
And it's just so interesting because it's not what you would expect of that kind of character. But that's
Hmm.
the same thing Cirque would do, is like give nuance and detail and meaning to these kinds of interactions that in other films of the same genre would not have.
Hmm.
Did I just say a sentence or not? I don't know. I think it was something. I think it was something. Can we talk some fun stuff in this?
Sure.
Loiterers. When he first gets arrested for, is he arrested for drunk driving or for being in one of those queer bars? What is the conviction or
I
the?
think it has to be the latter because they make such a point of showing that Kathy doesn't unfold and look at the ticket. She throws it in the garbage can without
Yes,
looking
yes,
at
you're
it. She
right.
doesn't even look at the charge,
So he
which you can
gets to
argue.
say whatever.
I mean, like, there's all kinds of like subtextual readings there. Like, is she already in denial at that point and knows on some atomic level about what Frank's quote unquote problem is? And she makes a willful decision to sort of blindly throw that ticket away and not look at it.
Yeah, this is a film about a gay man and the word gay is never said. The word homosexual is said in the most disdainful manner by Miss Patricia Clarkson. That
And even Kathy has to
oh
cover and say, "Oh, don't
oh
say
that
that word."
word. God damn, is it filled with these moments that are kind of arch and camp, but also self-aware as that, as if those moments don't exist in Douglas Sirk the way Dorothy Malone at the end of Written on the Wind is stroking an oil derrick. That's her dad's dick. If you're Freudian with it, or the way there are allusions to Mitch's sexuality in that film as well, which was played by a gay actor named Rock Hudson. Anyway, but when Frank first gets arrested, it's my new favorite F slur is him saying they would consider me as one of those loiterers. Yes. Oh.
But that's a fascinating word choice too, because what is in the context of sort of like American empire at its peak, post-war, what is the worst thing you can be? A scummy, and you can be idle. Like progress and productivity are key to the American empire at this point. So, and what is the worst thing? What is the slur sort of thrown at the hated hippie in the 60s? Idle, jobless, not doing anything. So like the word choice seems very deliberate to me. A loiterer is somebody who's contributing nothing.
Well, I understand what you're saying, but let me explain to you about cruising.
I get it. I know. I'm fascinated by the geography of Hartford, Connecticut as depicted in this movie, in which too. Like the movie theater, the steakhouse, the movie theater, the apparent straight prostitute corner, and then the gay bar are all like within apparently a block of each other, and like
girl, looks like a
amazing.
Good time.
It's amazing.
It looks like a good time. Hartford, well, maybe not a great time. No, never mind. I thought about the rest of the movie. I don't want to do it.
There's some fascinating parallels to how that gay bar, the first time that sort of, we don't really know if this is the first time. I feel like it's the first time he's worked up the courage to go there, because he does have to follow those guys home from the theater to find out even where the gay bar is. So I feel like at least that particular bar, it's the first time he's been there, right?
Maybe.
Huh?
Maybe.
Maybe.
I'm not gonna cruise splain to you. But it
feels like the way he follows those guys feels like detective work. Like I need to figure out where the scene is.
Yeah. But again, you're really learning about cruising right now.
The sort of like vaguely hostile and weird mix of glances and receptions that he's getting in the gay bar has interesting parallels to the weird mixture of receptions and hostility that Kathy gets when she goes to the black bar later in the film. It's a beautifully constructed film. I don't think that maybe gets enough credit about how like I don't know what scene I would cut from it.
I don't know either. And I was thinking about its script yesterday too. I'm really glad that you said that, because it's not something I ever really thought about. But even the kind of musicality of the dialogue, I was like, oh, Todd Haynes is really good with this. Like not only does he understand the vernacular of the visuals, it's the lexicon too, and the semantics.
Moore is so good with that lexicon too.
Oh my God!
That she knows exactly how to put the ellipses and the stammers and the repeated words when she's having little fights with Frank or whatever. She knows exactly, or she's stammering, trying to confess something to Raymond. She knows exactly where to put every little pause and bit of emphasis. It's so great.
That's what makes that final phone call with Frank so heartbreaking.
Oh,
is when she says, "You never did know when my carpool days were," and there's no affect. Like there's seemingly no affect of this woman whose life is all affect, and it's so heartbreaking. It's like, what? Oh my God, I can't. We have to change the subject because I'm getting upset. Like
as a Julianne. It's really fascinating to me too as a sort of big Julianne Moore performance, because what she doesn't do that she does in so many other of her roles, which is she doesn't get to like go necessarily, like she has some crying, she has intensely emotional scenes, but she doesn't get to, she never screams. When
No.
Frank finally confesses that he's leaving her, basically, she doesn't break down and sob. She doesn't scream at him and throw invective at him. She says, I suppose you'll be wanting a divorce.
Right.
Like there's a resignation and a lack of um assertiveness to Kathy that I think is essential to her character.
Well, it's the thing. I think she starts to understand the irony of the situation in those moments too, and is depleted and defeated in that I've had this not even romance. Like, I see this man who could be something for me, and yet I have been tortured trying to maintain this lifestyle, and for what? It didn't even matter to him. You know, that's just the real tragedy of the thing, is that she ends up so wildly alone. And yeah.
And it's a Frank's a fascinating character because we do feel his sense of relief that he is finally living his truth, right? That
Yeah, his truth with his tall blonde twink.
his Miami twink, yeah.
Yeah.
We sense, like, you can feel the weight off his shoulders, but at the same time we realize how monumentally shitty he's been to her in every way, and how badly he's handled the situation.
Literally abusive.
Yeah.
You know what? This was a bad pick for us trying to go on short episodes because there's so much going on here.
I think we're good. We've talked about a lot,
Yeah,
and
we talked about a lot.
and you've I think very clearly talked about your own particular attachment to this.
Yeah.
Are we going to vote?
I think we should. I do want to say earlier I misspoke. This was nominated for 4 Oscars. And I wanted to just, it reminded me because I wanted to make sure this was the year Julianne Moore had a double. That she had a supporting actor or actress for The Hours, which is like the boring version of her from
Who remembers The Hours?
Sorry. Gays defend The Hours. And lead for this, but the screenplay, Ed Lockman's cinematography, which is miraculous. And I don't like, how did you watch this? Did you rent it?
Yeah, I had to stream it. Yeah.
Yeah. It's probably the same kind of transfer that's on the Blu-ray. I don't think it looks great. I would like to see a print of this film. Anybody. And Elmer Bernstein's score. We did not talk about da, 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 da. Like it's so fucking good, and how many variations he gets on that theme. And I think that's his very last score too.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
I mean, it's so on point in the way that 19th and 50s and 60s scores for repeats were. I mean, he's doing the homage too.
Yeah. I mean, it's not like that Johnny Mathis song, Imitation of Life, is so good. So good. Anyway, okay. All right. I will ask you, Andrew. So here's the thing that we've said. That we'll get 10 votes a year. Well, guess what? We're like halfway into the year, so we only have 5 left. However,
you're gonna shortchange us?
Yeah, I'm gonna shortchange us because that's not fair.
Okay.
I did say one caveat is if we both agree, then it's a free space. It's a freebie.
Okay.
It will not count against us.
Okay.
There is no fucking way I'm not gonna vote on this, my own pick.
Right.
So, Andrew, did I convince you enough to put this into the bunker and make it a part of the permanent cinema?
Yes, absolutely.
Yes.
I don't think.
Wait, this does feel good. I like this.
I don't think it's personally in my like top 3 Haynes films, but I love it. I like part of what this exercise is about, right, is listening to somebody else talk passionately about something and not even try to convince. Convince makes it sound like we're in high school debate or something.
Yeah, no, it's not about that. It's like we want to hear people's stories, but we also want to appreciate the film for what it is.
Yeah.
And I think there are going to be times where we will probably like the story more than the film itself.
Yeah.
And maybe the inverse is true too. Maybe my story was shitty, but like, I don't know. I think
But
it's just kind of
I'm
fun.
willing to see, like, I'd be interested to see if any of these episodes, if we continue to follow this format, if any of these episodes end up in a situation where we come into the conversation
Yeah.
cooler, and by the end we are like, we do feel a genuine turnaround on the film and come around to it. But I mean, I like Hayes. I think this is a really, it makes me want to like do exactly what you're talking about, which is seek out more Cirque and expose myself to it. It makes me interested in maybe like watching all his Hollywood films and then going back and revisiting Far From Heaven again. It
Yeah.
sounds really
Yeah.
interesting. Like, it's been a
Yeah.
long time since I've seen All That Heaven Allows, and I've never seen Written on the Wind. So I feel like,
Oh.
what's his other big one, big Hollywood one from that era?
Imitation Life,
Magnificent
Magnificent
Obsession. Okay, I
Obsession.
couldn't remember what the other one was. Yeah. Okay. So I need to
So,
revisit all those and then maybe come back to it again to sort of deepen my appreciation of it. But even if you, I think one of the reasons it works for me is because you don't even really need that. Unlike, say, Gus Van Sant's Psycho, which you pretty much have to see Psycho,
yeah,
the Hitchcock Psycho first
I
to
think I agree.
understand what he's getting at, whether you agree with it or not. I feel like this film just works. It's a
It does
beautiful
just work.
script. It's beautifully photographed. It's beautifully performed. It's tender. Um it's intense, it's melodramatic in all the right ways, and like I said, I feel like it just maybe has like 5 to 10% more intensity to it than a period film would, which I really like.
All right, we've got the first entry into the Jacobs permanent cinema.
Lock the vault.
Lock the vault. Lock the
We'll
gates.
just put
We're
this in and then that's it. That's and
no.
the aliens will discover one piece of human art. It will be Far From Heaven. It's Far
You
From
know,
Home.
how many versions of like permanent cinema? Like, are we gonna also do Desert Island? Are we gonna do Bunker? We did that one. We've yet to say Time Capsule, which
Okay. We know what we mean. We know what we
we
mean.
know what we mean. We know what we mean. I bet the people know too. All right,
Mm.
Andrew. All right. Okay. Okay. Although I have a lot more to say. I don't know. Maybe I don't. Do you have one more thing that you want to talk about? I do. I have. Can I?
Let's hear
I'm gonna
yours
go first.
first.
I'm gonna go
Yeah.
first. So we used to do this on the, on the pod. We do one more thing. I have been okay. I teased earlier I might talk about Jia Zhangke, the Chinese filmmaker,
Hmm.
whose filmography I'm going through. Thank you, Criterion Channel, so that I can watch his new film, Caught by the Tides, which is supposedly very self-referential. That's my way of like couching the recommendation in there by actually talking about friend of the show, Alex McPherson, got me into the television show Slow Horses.
Hmm.
This is like if Jean Le Carre did stuff about alcoholic, gassy old men instead of, well, he kind of does do that, doesn't he?
Now
Right.
this is the Apple TV series starring
Apple TV
Goldman,
original.
right?
Yeah. Um, as of right now, there are 4 seasons, and I kind of expected maybe like maybe kind of comfy, funny, sardonic, with light espionage. No, I was very mistaken. This show gets to like Breaking Bad levels of complication and action and like morally,
Very cynical from what I hear, like caustically cynical about
yeah, but it's
intelligence.
also very much about cynical people who do good because they
Hmm.
can't help it. The slow horses are people who are outcast from MI5 proper and put into Slough House, which is meant to be the kind of like, I don't know, lowest level
Exiled to the subbasement.
exiled, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. But they're actually, as they turn out, they get to be a diverse group of really great agents because they work well together. And their leader is, well, the kind of main character of the show is played by Jack Loudon, which is, he is born into MI5. His grandfather's played by Jonathan Pryce. He used to be first desk, as it were, of MI5.
Mhm.
But the leader of the Slough House is played by Gary Oldman, and he is the most foul-mouthed, deplorable, clever man. Um, you could do, you know how there's like Veep supercuts of Selena's insults and stuff.
Yeah.
You could absolutely do one of those for this man, and it would be better. There's a character who's an alcoholic in there, and they go back decades, and it is just a small glimpse that he is saved in her phone as Old Soak. And but the show itself gets into just really high octane mystery and intrigue and action, and at a level that is so clever for understanding its characters. I have seen the fifth season, but it's under embargo, and I will say nothing of it. But I would recommend Slow Horses, especially if you're a fan of the spy genre
Hmm.
or a fan of TV that keeps you on the edge of your seat. And it's on Apple TV Plus. Um, does anyone know how they managed to get Apple TV Plus if they're paying for it? If, like, how do I have access to it? It just kind of appears and it's there and I can click it.
It's a it's a sub like anything else.
Uh huh. Okay.
But if you have a like package subscription with Apple Music and and some of their other services like Apple
Okay.
Arcade, you might get it too, like bundled together.
Okay. So this is how I have this crap. That makes sense.
I don't have it right now. I had it for Severance and then I canceled. I did the thing. I watched the show I wanted to watch and then I canceled it after that, which is I think what a lot of people are doing these days for all these streaming services. But I don't currently have it. But yeah, I mean, I've heard nothing but raves about that show. So
Yeah, I think it's pretty great. But you can find me on social media, Instagram, Blue Sky, Letterboxd. And I've
mm.
changed my username. My username
Oh,
is at OK Josh Ray. So find me there and find me at thetakeup.com. What about you, Andrew?
um, my one more thing is the series Long Story Short, which is just premiered on Netflix a couple weeks ago, I believe. This is the new animated series from BoJack Horseman creator Raphael Bob Waksberg. His third collaboration, I believe, with cartoonist Lisa Hanawalt, they also worked together on her show Tuga and Birdie. Um, so if you like BoJack, I think saying the next show from the creator of BoJack Horseman is sort of its own selling point. But um, it's a very different show than BoJack. This is a much more loosely autobiographical series. It's a family sitcom dramedy about a middle class Jewish American family in the San Francisco Bay Area, not unlike Bob Waksberg's own family. Um, and it's animated. It's done in a very different style. Lisa Hanawalt's draw. She's the production designer on this, just like she was a production designer on BoJack, and it looks a lot more like her sort of like scribbles in a notebook sort of style, which is sort of fascinating. And there's some elements to the design that harken back to like 1960s and 70s animation, things that remind me of like old Sesame Street shorts and stuff. But um, independent of that, it's just a fascinatingly acted and very beautifully written show. Um, Bob Waksberg has talked about how there haven't been a ton of sort of Jewish family sitcoms.
All right.
One of the first sitcoms, The Goldbergs, from the night was a radio drama originally, and then migrated to television, was about a sort of Brooklyn Jewish family. And there have been a few others in the last like 10 to 15 years, but there haven't been a tons from like the golden age of television. And this is sort of that. It's a sort of classic family sitcom, like he said he grew up with in the 80s and 90s, but about a family that looks a lot like his own family. Sort of Reformed Jewish family, parents as academics, big, big, sprawling, sort of extended family, and a lot of angst and neuroses and family trauma and so forth. What I love about it specifically is it's a time hopping show. So every episode kind of like jumps around in time. It goes as far back as to the parents' childhoods in 1959 and as far up to the present day. It's a COVID show. There's a lot of episodes that sort of take place during that 2019, 2022 time period, but it jumps around like crazy. And one of the things I love about the writing is that, unlike so many shows, the way I've been describing it, people perhaps a bit unkindly, is This Is Us but good.
Sorry. Okay, that's funny.
Maybe a bit unkind. No, so apologies in advance to the This Is Us fans out there, but
it's on
but it
Netflix?
Does. Yeah, it's Netflix. It's the same. I guess he's happy with his deal that he has with Netflix over there. But it's the whole first season has been dumped. I think it's a 10-episode first season. Great voice cast with Paul Reiser, sort of the patriarch of the family, getting him playing a bit against type, which is kind of fun. But what I love about it is that time hopping structure, and it does something that I think is really valuable for doing like emotionally effective dramedy, which is not dropping reveals on us in a way that's where characters get to react in real time to those shocks. There's no, the guy from 30 something dies in a car accident and everybody gets to react to it in live and on the show, as it happens. There are tragedies, there are twists, there are things that happen that are brutal, but they happen almost entirely off screen. And because we're jumping around in time, we're getting to see the characters at different points. There's a fascinating, there's a point early on where the characters are in sort of COVID lockdown, and the adult children are talking about their parents and their childhood. And it's like, oh yeah, this is just like when mom died. And I'm like, wait, what? Mom's dead? When did that happen? But we don't get to see the moment mom died. We get to see the aftermath and the characters talking around it and talking about how hard it was and things like that. I love the way that it's structured. So independent of everything else, just like BoJack, it's funny, a lot of great boomerang jokes, a slightly absurd style of comedy, but very heartfelt and very emotionally raw, especially by the end of the first season. And my understanding, it's already been picked up for a second. Netflix had enough confidence on it to renew it before it premiered. So
yeah, that's
apparently they like it. So,
unusual for them these days.
Yeah. Well, the trick will be they'll give it 2 seasons, then they'll cancel it.
Right. That's 2 seasons out of nothing.
So highly recommended. Long story short, on Netflix. And if you not on many social medias anymore, but if you want to find me, you can find all my writing at thetakeup.com.
Very good. Next episode is something that Andrew's picking.
I
don't know why you're being so freaking cagey.
I picked it.
All right.
Do you want to
reveal yourself?
It's No Country for Old Men.
Fuck yeah! Oh, I mean, I don't know if it'll go in the hell yes. Okay. No, I'm not going to talk about it. No Country for Old Men.
Mm-hmm.
Which I was about to watch again this year.
No, you have a reason. No. There's never a bad reason to watch.
I have another reason to watch a perfect movie. All right. Cool. So that's Cohen's No Country for Old Men. It's out there. You can find it easily.
Yeah. New Criterion.
That 4K disc, baby. That shit's so good. All right. Well, thank you to Ethan Tarantella for helping produce the show. That's hard to say. Things are hard to say in general. Kayla McCullough for social media. Jess Pierce for help with editing. So next time, I hope you watch No Country for Old Men.